What if holding on is what's hurting you? We think letting go is weakness. But Seneca, a Roman philosopher who watched friends die, wealth vanish, and power flip overnight, saw it differently. Begin at once to live and count each separate day as a separate life. Seneca, letting go isn't giving up. It's waking up. Think about this. You're holding on to a job you hate, a relationship that drains you, a goal that used to light you up, but now just doesn't. Still, you stay. You tell yourself, it'll get better. I've come this far. I can't just quit now. I had a friend. Let's call her Toulouse. She stayed in a relationship for 2 years after it had already ended. Not officially, but emotionally, the spark was gone. The respect was fading, but she kept fighting to hold on to what used to be there. Why? Because letting go felt like failure. But here's the twist: staying was the real failure. It cost her more peace than the breakup ever would have. Sound familiar? Most people think knowing when to let go is about timing, like there's a perfect moment to say, okay, now it's officially over. But that's not the real issue. The real problem is fear. Fear of regret, fear of pain, fear of what comes next. We hold on because we think control means safety. We say things like, what if I just try one more time? I don't want to throw away everything I've built. This still might work out if I just wait. And underneath it all, we're scared to admit we've outgrown something. Seneca had something to say about this. The man knew loss. He was exiled. He was ordered to kill himself, and through it all he kept writing about freedom, but not the kind that comes from changing your job or your partner or your city, the kind that comes from changing your mind. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Seneca. Let that sink in. It's not that life is too short to figure things out. It's that we waste time clinging to what no longer serves. Use. Imagine you're carrying a heavy backpack. At first it's full of useful stuff, tools, water, snacks, but over time things start to rot. Bottles leak, tools rust. It gets heavier, but you refuse to drop it. Why? Because it used to be valuable. That's how we treat goals, jobs, even people. We hang on to what once helped us, even when it's now weighing us down. Seneca says, this is the great mistake of life, thinking that just because we've spent time on something, we owe it more time. He writes, you act like mortals in all that you fear and like immortals in all that you desire. Seneca translation. You panic like you'll die tomorrow, but cling to things like you'll live forever. What would you actually let go of if you knew you had a year left to live, a month, a week? Would you still be arguing with that friend, still trying to force that career to make you happy, still stalking your ex on Instagram? When Seneca says, begin at once to live, he means don't wait for the right time. Don't wait for a clean break. Don't wait until you feel ready, because here's the uncomfortable truth. You might never feel ready. Letting go isn't a feeling. It's a decision, and often the weight lifts after the leap, not before. One of Seneca's most famous metaphors is about steering a ship. He says life is like sailing. You can't control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. If the wind changes and you keep heading in the same direction out of pride or fear, you'll wreck the boat. If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable. Seneca. In other words, if you're not clear on what matters, you'll cling to anything that moves, even if it's moving you in the wrong direction. Toulouse, my friend, finally let go. It wasn't graceful, it wasn't perfect, but it was honest. She stopped pretending. She admitted the truth. that staying would only create more suffering, and that she didn't need anyone's permission to choose peace after that. Her life didn't magically get better, but it got lighter, and that's the first step. To be everywhere is to be nowhere, Seneca. What does this have to do with letting go everything? Because the more you cling to everything, the less you're really present for anything. You stay halfway in a relationship while swiping Tinder at night. You talk about quitting your job but keep checking Slack every morning. You dream of moving abroad but renew your lease anyway. Split energy, split results. Seneca's point is brutally clear. If your attention is scattered, your life will be too. Here's a simple way to test this. Ask yourself, what am I half committed to right now? Not what you hate, not what's clearly toxic, but what you're lukewarm about. Maybe it's a business idea that's not growing, and you know it's not going to, but you want it to. Maybe it's a friendship that's always one-sided, but you're afraid to end it because of the history. Here's what that split looks like in practice. You're tired but busy. You're occupied but unfulfilled. You're moving but not in any clear direction. Life is long if you know how to use it, Seneca. Letting go of half commitments isn't giving up. It's giving your energy back to what actually matters. Close your eyes for a second. Now ask yourself this. If I dropped that one thing I've been carrying, would I lose anything real, or just a version of myself I've outgrown? Here's a story. A client of mine, a startup founder, was building two companies at once. One had traction, the other didn't. Guess which one took all his time? The broken one, the one he didn't want to abandon. He kept saying, I just need to push through. But after months of burnout, he realized he wasn't building a business. He was trying to avoid admitting that he made a wrong turn. Once he let it go, his energy came back. His good business started to grow, and his self-respect, the quiet kind, returned. He wasn't everywhere anymore. No man was ever wise by chance, Seneca. Letting go the right way takes intentionality. It's not about snapping one day and walking out. It's about seeing clearly and choosing deliberately. You might be wondering, how do I know I'm not just running away from something hard? That's a fair question. Sometimes it's not time to quit. Sometimes it's time to push. But here's the difference. Are you leaving because it's difficult or because it's dead? Big difference. Hard things test you. Dead things drain you. Seneca's quote reminds us that wisdom isn't accidental. You don't stumble into peace, you build it by looking at your life honestly. What progress, you ask, have I made? I have begun to be a friend to myself. Seneca, letting go isn't just about cutting things off. It's about becoming your own friend, and friends don't let friends stay stuck. So ask yourself this pattern interrupt coming. If someone you loved was in your exact situation, what would you tell them to do? Would you say stay? Maybe it'll magically get better, or let it go. Your peace matters more than your pride. We get clarity when we look at our lives like someone else, sure as a story that's close to home. A while back, I kept a project alive for almost 2 years after I lost interest. It had an audience, momentum, even revenue, but I wasn't in it anymore. Still, I told myself, people expect this from me. I worked so hard to get here. Maybe I'm just burned out. I should push through, but deep down I knew it was over. Not because it failed, because I changed, so I let it go. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, like putting down a coat that doesn't fit anymore. And guess what? I didn't crash. I created space. A few months later, I started something new, something lighter, more aligned. That wouldn't have happened if I kept clinging to the past version of Mies. Oh, here's the punchline. He suffers more than necessary who suffers. Before it is necessary, Seneca, letting go doesn't always mean pain, but dragging something past its expiry date that always does. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is walk away before resentment arrives. Here's what happens when you don't. Let go. You become someone you don't recognize. You stay in the wrong job until your confidence shrinks. You stay in the wrong relationship until love turns into bitterness. You hold on to a dream that's no longer yours and start to resent it. No one tells you this, but clinging too long doesn't just steal your time, it steals your identity. Seneca put it this way: while we are postponing, life speeds by Seneca. That's the cost, not just discomfort, not just frustration, but life itself. Days you don't get back. You tell yourself you're waiting for the right moment. But the truth is, the longer you wait, the harder it becomes. I knew someone, a brilliant woman in her 50s, who stayed in the wrong marriage for 20 years. Not because she couldn't leave, but because she thought she had to keep sacrificing to prove she was loyal. By the time she finally stepped out, she said something I'll never forget. I kept the promise I made to him, but I broke the one I never made to myself. That's the quiet tragedy of holding on too long. You start disappearing from your own life. So let's come back to what matters. Here's what we've seen. Letting go isn't weakness. Begin at once to live. It's a form of strength. The strength to stop wasting time. You can't hold on to everything. To be everywhere is to be nowhere. Focus is freedom. You don't stumble into peace. No man was ever wise by chance. You create peace by choosing what and who to release. So here's one thing you can do today. Write down the one thing you're afraid to let go of and ask yourself, what is it really costing me? Not in theory, in your actual daily life. Is it costing you sleep, your self-worth, your creative energy? Be honest, and remember this quote: he who is brave is free. Seneca. You might not feel brave, but the act of letting go is bravery. It's quiet, it's personal, and no one else needs to understand it. So ask yourself, what's one thing you could release today? Not because it's broken, but because you're ready to grow beyond it. Let me know in the comments. Your story might help someone else find clarity too. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and stay with me. And if this video helped, even in a small way, drop a like, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and leave a comment with what you're ready to let go of. Life is long if you know how to use it. Seneca. Thanks for watching. Take care of your time. It's your most honest mirror.